Okay guys, Timmy coming at you here. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you very simply and succinctly, I'm hoping, the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. First of all, when you talk about blood sugar, blood glucose, blood sugar, same thing. The normal blood sugar should be between about 80 and 100 milligrams per deciliter. And the reason that is that your brain can only use glucose as a fuel. And your brain works best when your blood sugar is between 80 and 100. So let's say, for example, that your blood sugar is 30. If your blood sugar is 30, you don't work so good. If your blood sugar is 600, you don't work so good. So in order for your brain to work best, you have to control that blood sugar. And what ultimately controls your blood sugar when it's elevated is our buddy, our pal, the one and only hormone called insulin. And insulin is released from the beta cells of the pancreas in response to an elevated blood sugar. So let me give you an example. You eat some Fruity Pebbles for breakfast. In about 20 minutes, that's going to cause your blood sugar to go up. And when your blood sugar goes up, the pancreas is going to sense that, and it's going to release the hormone insulin into the blood. So why was insulin released? It was released because your blood sugar was elevated. So what do you think insulin's going to do? Yep, you got it. It's going to help you lower your blood sugar. Now this is an important deal to understanding this. You got glucose in the blood. What up, G? See, that's OG, original gangster. Get it? Glucose is impermeable to the cell membrane. Glucose cannot simply go from the blood into any cell. In order for glucose to go from the blood into the cell, therefore lowering your blood sugar, you have to have insulin. And in order for insulin to do its job, insulin has to bind to a functioning insulin receptor on the cell membrane. When it does that, when insulin binds to an insulin receptor, it will open up a gate on that cell membrane. When that gate is opened, it will allow glucose to go from the blood into the cell, lowering your blood sugar. And when your blood sugar is back to normal, between 80 and 100, then the beta cells of the pancreas will stop releasing insulin. That's how insulin controls your blood sugar. So, very simply, if you look at a person who has type 1 diabetes, if in type 1 diabetes, when a person eats sugar, their blood sugar is going to go up, but the pancreas does not release insulin. So they have no insulin release from the pancreas. And if you don't have insulin release from the pancreas, can your blood sugar drop? The answer is no. The result is that your blood sugar will remain elevated. So what do people with type 1 diabetes have to do? They have to take some type of insulin for the rest of their life. So they have to inject insulin for the rest of their lives. Their beta cells don't produce it. Now, in type 2 diabetes, this is different. In type 2 diabetes, what happens is this. These individuals, when they eat blood sugar, or when they eat glucose, their blood sugar is going to go up. The pancreas senses that and releases insulin into the blood. What does insulin have to do in order to allow glucose to go from the blood into the cell? Insulin has to bind to a functioning insulin receptor on the cell membrane. In people with type 2 diabetes, the number and sensitivity of these insulin receptors goes away. So these people in the early stages of type 2 diabetes are producing tons of insulin. So type 2 diabetes in the beginning, they produce tons of insulin. In order for insulin to exert its effect, though, it has to bind to a functioning insulin receptor on the cell membrane. If it doesn't do that, glucose cannot go from the blood into the cell. The result is that the blood sugar remains elevated. So in people with type 2 diabetes, what's their problem? The problem, at least initially, is not insulin. They got the insulin. It's these little insulin receptors that are not functioning. So if you were a drug and you wanted to treat people with that had type 2 diabetes, what would you make the drug do? Well, you would make that drug put more functioning insulin receptors on the cell membrane. And that's exactly what happens. There is a drug that almost invariably every type 2 diabetic is placed on, and that drug is called metformin. And one of the big ways that metformin works is by increasing the number and sensitivity of those insulin receptors. So, what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is, in type 1, when their blood sugar goes up, if you're a type 1 diabetic, the pancreas does not release insulin. So they have to take insulin the rest of their lives. In people with type 2 diabetes, they produce insulin. Their insulin is being secreted. The problem is, in order to get glucose from the blood into the cell, insulin has to bind to a functioning insulin receptor. So in people with type 2 diabetes, the number and sensitivity of those insulin receptors goes away. And that is the basic fundamental difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Later, what I'll do is I'll explain to you the different medications used to treat both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Hope that helped. See ya.